I almost threw away the old hard drive until I saw my living room on screen. What I found didn't make me angry.
The house was empty, and I was rummaging through a closet looking for an old warranty file. Behind a stack of dusty manuals, I found it, a forgotten hard drive. It was probably just full of junk, but for some reason I hesitated. I wasn't expecting much. Maybe some old clips of the front porch or the driveway, cats wandering by, that sort of thing. And at first, that's exactly what I found. The first few folders were filled with perfectly normal, boring videos. The kids as toddlers running through the living room, a delivery driver dropping off a package. As the thumbnails loaded, one of them caught my eye. It was a shot of my living room, but the image felt off. I clicked play. The video flickered to life. My wife walked into the frame. She was wearing one of my old button-down shirts, and she was smiling. It wasn't just friendly banter between in-laws, it was practiced. It was intimate. A cold feeling washed over me. It wasn't a hot flash of rage like you see in the movies. There was no explosion, no urge to punch a wall. It was a quiet, sinking realization that something irreversible had just happened right in front of my eyes. A piece of my life had just been rewritten, and I couldn't unsee it. I didn't stop at that first video. I couldn't. Different days, different rooms. Sometimes the kitchen, sometimes the back patio. But it was always the same. The same casual intimacy, the same secret smiles. It always happened when I was at work or on one of my business trips. The timestamps on the files laid out a story I could no longer deny or make excuses for. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was their routine. It was a part of their lives that I was never meant to see. I just sat there in the dark long after the sun went down. The laptop screen was the only light in the room. I started replaying moments from my life over the past few years, but seeing them through this new, terrible lens. All those late nights my brother crashed on our couch after we all had a few drinks. The puzzle I never even knew I was missing pieces from was suddenly complete. That night, my wife came home from her yoga class. She walked in, kissed my cheek, and asked me how my day was, just like she always did. I looked at her, and for the first time I saw a stranger. I answered calmly, "It was fine, just quiet. We ate dinner. We talked about bills and weekend plans." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't break a single thing. Instead, a chilling sense of clarity settled over me, and I started planning. The next few days were a quiet storm. I became a detective in my own life. I methodically gathered everything I needed. I made copies of the video files and saved them to multiple locations. I went through old bank statements and phone records, looking for patterns. I learned a new kind of patience, a kind I never knew I possessed. See, raw anger wants a quick release. It wants to shout and break things, but clarity wants the right timing. It wants the final word. Then Sunday arrived. It was our usual family gathering at my parents' house. Everyone was there. My parents, my siblings, their kids. The house was filled with the sound of laughter and conversation, a perfect picture of a happy family. My wife sat next to me on the sofa, her hand resting on my leg, completely relaxed. My brother was across the room, telling a funny story, making everyone laugh like he always did. They were so comfortable, they thought they were safe. They believed that time and secrecy had buried their betrayal forever. I said there was something important, something I wanted to share with the family. The room fell silent. You could see the confusion on their faces. I walked over to the large television in my parents' living room, connected my laptop with an HDMI cable, and pressed play. The first video appeared on the big screen. The silence that followed was heavier and more suffocating than shouting could ever be. You could have heard a pin drop. My mother's smile vanished. My father's jaw tightened. "Someone, I think my sister," gasped audibly. My wife shot up from the couch so fast her chair scraped loudly against the hardwood floor. And my brother, he just froze. He was mid-laugh and he just froze, caught like an animal in headlights. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. The truth was speaking for itself, louder than any accusation I could ever make. In that moment I watched as the people who mattered most in my life saw them for who they really were. No excuses, no explanations, no twisted apologies could undo what was right there, visible for everyone to see. I left shortly after that. I didn't wait around for the inevitable arguments or the tearful, hollow apologies. I just picked up my jacket, walked out the door, and drove home to an empty house. That night I slept better than I had in months. The days and weeks that followed were messy, but clean at the same time. There were lawyers and paperwork. There were difficult conversations and endings that had been delayed for years. It was the demolition of a life I thought I had. He just disappeared. My wife, she tried. I'd already heard the real story. I focused on rebuilding, on creating something honest from the wreckage. Through all of this, I learned a powerful lesson. Strength doesn't always show up as a loud confrontation or a dramatic fight. Sometimes, the greatest strength is in restraint. Sometimes it's in letting the unvarnished truth stand on its own without decorating it with your rage. I didn't fight back with fists or with screaming matches. I fought back by refusing to lie to myself or let others lie to me ever again. Losing people I loved was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. And walking away from that chaos without becoming bitter and consumed by hate like them, that was the real victory. It was about choosing my own peace over their drama. If you've been through something similar, know you're not alone. Take care of yourselves.